Welcome to another episode of How It Works. My name is Ken Baker from Green Pro Solutions. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about the filter system. On this unit, which is a 5500 Chevy Isuzu, we call this a Titan 2. Mainly differentiates between a Titan 1 and Titan 2 is the volume of the water in it. So if you have something similar to this, you probably have on one of Green Pro systems, filter systems such as this. Now these filters have two because each motor and pump has its own designated filter. A little bit of history with these filters is that typically when I do troubleshooting over the phone with people using the vehicles, using the motors, especially for the first season, the few reasons why the system doesn't work is usually due to these filters. Let me break down the dynamics of these filters. They're not complex at all. They're basically what they say they are. I'm going to shut the valve off. So that's any of the product that comes from the pump and that goes back to the manifold. You will get a little bit of residual, so I'd recommend getting a container or something so you don't spill product. But if you turn the nut by hand and you take the cap off, like I said, you're going to get a little residual. Make sure your valve is off. And you take these off, very like this. Now that's just residual, again, that comes from the filter that goes to your back of your pump. So in this case here, this is just a testing filter. But it gives you an idea of what the filter does, that it traps debris and different types of things that can be prevented from going through your filter, through your pump. So this mesh is designed for this kind of pump, for the typical products they put through it. You really don't ever have to change the filter itself. It's a stainless steel mesh. And it does have two O-rings, which we recommend changing every season. We'll get into that, the maintenance phase. Some even like debris like this, it prevents it from getting into your fragile pump and the diaphragms from getting caught. So part of the structure of this is you have your filter housing, you have your filter. You have a big O-ring here. You have your cap, and then you have your lid. So when people clean their filter, they put the filter back in. It seats in there really nicely. They take their O-ring, they put it on. Now this one fits pretty snug. I have to push it down. It doesn't fall off. Now what typically is one of the top 5 reasons why your system doesn't work is if this diaphragm doesn't get changed at least once or twice a season, depending on the types of product and how many hours you're using it, this can break down as a petroleum product. And some of the products out there do break these down, and they get really large and stretchy, and they don't sit on this properly, as it is. This one shows here. So if it starts to get flimsy, change it. If not, what happens? It gets really big, and then you put it on. And you may leave it up like that, and you go to put your lid on, and it pinches it, or it binds, and then it just sucks air. And then you'll never get good suction with your unit. It'll cavitate, and it'll shake, and you're scratching your head. Why is this doing this? So this is one of the number one reasons why your system's not sucking properly. So make sure that O-rings fits tight. Then you take your cap, and you put it over, and you screw it on by hand. You do not need to use any tools, no channel locks, nothing. Basically by hand, and that's good. One of the other reasons of the number 5 reasons why the system doesn't work is do not tighten this nut enough. So you got to make sure it's just tightened by hand, and there's plenty good enough. If you have a good O-ring in there, you're sealed. Another one of the top 5. And again, most of the problems happen right here, is they go to start their unit, and they get it going, they got the manifold open, they're ready to go, the pump's running, and it's not working. Well, it's this valve here. You have to turn the valve back on to allow access to your pump. I know they're very simple, but when you get into the role of doing things, we forget some of the most simplest things, and that's usually one of them. Now, some of the safety features that we've implemented in these filter systems, your pumps are designed to pump water or product. That's what they're designed for. Now, there is a safety feature that built into it. Say you're out 200 feet with your hose, and your tank starts to go dry. You start getting some, vibration and cavitation because the tank is almost empty, and you don't get back in time. Well, we have a device on the back side of the filter, which you can't see here. It's a brass fitting like this. It's called a vacuum breaker. Now, this vacuum breaker does not really need any maintenance, and it's screwed into the back. So if there's no water there, this valve will automatically open and the pump will suck air. It will pump air. You can't do it for a long period of time, but it will do enough for you to get back to your unit, shut the unit down, get more product or water in your tank, and you should be good. It resets itself automatically. Like I said, there's really no maintenance or anything to it. You probably don't even know it's there, but it's a protective measure for your pump. Recommending, as far as maintenance, these filters need to be cleaned every day. Now, what will happen is those fine mesh screen will get clogged. You're going to make the pump work harder and harder, and eventually it won't get any product at all. You could burn out your motor because it's trying so hard to suck something that's not coming, and you could burn out the motor. So I highly recommend every day clean that filter. Some people I've known to do it 2-3 times a day, depending if they're using organic and solid matter, and it gets caught in the screen more often. So I think that's it with the filter system. Without a good filter system, your unit could work to its fullest extent or not. So thank you for joining us for another episode of How It Works.